Hi, folks. Tom here. Hoping that we're going to get enough connectivity on the slightly overloaded networks to be able to speak to you. I've moved away from the main focus of the Mall, which is so I'm in St James's Park, which is, in my opinion, hi Warren, which is, in my opinion, the most lovely of the London parks. We often talk a lot about Kensington Gardens, don't we? And Hyde Park. But St James's Park is a bit of a gem. And it very much comes into its own on today, the King's official birthday, Trooping the Colour. I'm going to just show you where I am. I'm going to try anyway. Oh dear, my camera's not quite as good as I'd hoped. So I am not on Horse Guards Parade. I'm not in the Mall. I am. So you can see here, I'm on Birdcage Walk. And you can. This is a great place to sit, actually. It's a good little inside tip. It's a great place to sit if you're coming to Trooping the Colour, because this is where all the guards walk home from Horse Guards Parade back to their barracks. And you can see a lot of them starting to come down now. Their duties are over for the day. They'll be going back to their barracks and their mess for a well-deserved cup of tea. I'm sure you've all seen a lot of the scenes on the television shows and on the news channels today. Sorry, due to Substack's slightly crap video tools, I actually can't do any proper zooming in. But I have to tell you, I just really like this. It's almost like going backstage. Because frankly, what you can see if you go up to the Mall is not really any different. You know, it's better to watch it on your television, quite frankly. So I do like to come around the backs of these places sometimes and see, behind the scenes a bit. Well, suffice to say, it has been an absolutely gorgeous day in London. I mean, you couldn't ask for a better day, really, for trooping. Glorious, glorious sunshine, but not absolutely boiling hot. You're not going to have lads falling over and fainting in their bearskins. But as you can see, an absolutely glorious English summer's day. So it's about 12:30 now. Have a buckle on. My God. Thank you, Joe. Hi, Harry. How's it going? Good to see everybody here. Really happy to be doing this on Substack Live for a change. I know we do most of our video on YouTube these days, but for events like this, it's absolutely perfect to do it on Substack Live. And it's really nice to have a bit of a chat with my subscribers on the channel. So it's been a really, really wonderful day. We obviously, the whole thing elevated and taken to another level by the presence of Princess Catherine. That's stunning in a beautiful kind of blue dress. And also, of course, the real stars of the shows, weren't they? The young princes and princess, Prince George the Seventh, as he will one day be. Charlotte and Louis, who seems so far to have managed to restrain himself from pulling funny faces, but he will. We'll see how that goes in due course. Maybe when they get up in the balcony for the Flypast. Now, in terms of the Flypast, I'm going to be able to see it from here through that sort of nice hole in the leafy trees there in about half an hour. Whether or not you will be able to see it, I think is a slightly other matter. I can't imagine it's going to be very impressive on this tiny screen. And of course, half of it is the sound. So I won't be at all offended if you want to stick on BBC in the background and to see those big ceremonial shots. But yeah, what I'm here to do really is just to give you a bit of background about what today is, what it means, and to just bring you a sense of there's a really lovely atmosphere here. It's not absolutely heaving. It's not like on the level of, the Queen's Jubilee or any of those kinds of events, but it's certainly there is certainly a respectable amount of people here, I would say. Um, there's several thousand people here, and a lot of there's been obviously a lot of controversy over the past few weeks about how the royal family present themselves, what image they wish to portray to the public after the Peter Phillips wedding. And I don't know if you saw, but I did a post late last night. There was an incredible story in the Mail saying that Andrew basically was responsible for choreographing Eugenie and Beatrice's arrivals at the wedding, that they had been in two minds about whether or not to go, and that Andrew had kind of forcefully encouraged them, I suppose is the best way to put it. And I do apologise that my internet connection is not the greatest. I mean, it's just virtue, I'm afraid, of where I am and the busyness of the area. So yeah, you can just see a lot of the guests here. You have to dress quite smartly for trooping, so you can see a lot of the guests there, just walking down, making their way by the back roads to the big apron outside the palace, where in about 28 minutes, not about 28 minutes, in exactly 28 minutes, we will see the planes of the Red Arrows, the acrobatic corps of the RAF, perform their Flypast in the Cotswold discharge, the famous red, white, and blue contrails over the roof of the palace, and we may be able to get them. We may be able to get a few pictures of them drifting down towards you. So basically, what today is about is one of the key ceremonial occasions where the palace get to write the narrative of how they want to see themselves. And the monarchy is, above all, I would argue, a project of narrative, right? They use these kind of rituals, these kind of ceremonies to elevate ordinary men made of flesh and blood into a kind of godlike status. And these ceremonial rituals that we're seeing today with, look, there are a lot of people, now it's starting to build up now because, and I don't know if you can see, but this is one of the footbridge. This leads to a thing called the Duck Bridge, which goes over St. James's Lake. And then you can walk straight up there to the Mall, about 5 minutes, and another 3 or 4 minutes down to the palace. And you can see now it's starting to build up. People are starting to arrive. I don't know whether Vodafone will kindly allow me to keep my connection, given that I've had it connected from before these people arrived. It may not. But yeah, so today, what today is about, it's technically the King's official birthday. Now, of course, it's not his actual birthday. It's the Queen's actual birthday, although funny enough, Prince Philip's birthday did occasionally fall on Trooping the Colour because his birthday was June the 10th, which I know because my birthday is June the 9th, as you've all been very kindly wishing me my birthday wishes this year. So, it was a thing constructed to celebrate the King's birthday, first Saturday of June or second Saturday of June. and you're liable to get some good weather. And it's very much about weaving the spell of what the monarchy is and who they are. And I often think that this is part of the reason that Harry and Meghan have been represented such a threat and such a danger to the royal family, because they've kind of interfered with with the narrative authority of the royal family. They've interfered with, they basically said, no, we're actually going to tell our own story. We're not going to allow you to tell our story for us. We want to tell we want our own narrative sovereignty. And that doesn't sit well, right? Because the British royal family ultimately is based, it's modeled on military lines, right? The military is where it draws its credibility from, its legitimacy from. The king is obviously the head of the armed forces. And the royal family is structured as a quasi-military organization, by which I mean that you have to follow orders and ask questions. You follow orders first and you ask questions later. You do what your superior officer tells you to do, and you... Good, Warren, thank you. Thanks for joining us. Warren's a very good friend of mine. He runs a brilliant PR consultancy called W Communication. If we had more time, I'd get him on. I'd press the little 3 buttons and I'd bring him on live to talk about what today really is, which is an exercise in branding, right? This is the original exercise in branding the royal family. So, as well as being fabulous gold coaches, et cetera, and all these soldiers in their wonderful, almost Napoleonic era uniforms, that of course be completely useless on the battlefield because you'd be seen from a mile off. It's about branding the royal family in the heart of that military tradition that gives them so much legitimacy and credibility. And that's why we see all the soldiers marching around. That's why we see, that fabulous performance on Horse Guards Parade, the horses, the coaches, all those kinds of things. And now there may be some military historians watching who will correct me on the fine detail of this. But the color, when it says trooping the colors, it's not, it's sometimes we get it wrong and we call it the trooping of color. It's not, it's the trooping the color. And the color is like a flag, basically. So it's the flag. And each year, there are 5 or rather 7 guards regiments, the Life Guards, Coldstream Guards, Horse Guards, the Welsh Guards, the Irish Guards, the Scots Guards, possibly one more, forgive me, I haven't got my notes. And they are fighting regiments. They do, when there is action, they see action in Afghanistan or wherever they go. But they are also, they do have this very important ceremonial function, which really comes to the fore I'm going to just turn the camera out. We're starting to get some actually rather good views of people walking down. So basically, these are all the people walking down. A lot of these, some of them will just be punters who've come, just members of the public. Some of them will be people who, because to go to the actual, if you want to go to the actual parade and sit in Horse Guards Parade, there are 2 ways to do it. Either you can be an invited guest of a guardsman, a member of the royal family, an official, a member of the government, or you can just apply. And it's free, and there's a lottery. And if you're ever thinking, if you're a foreigner and you're ever thinking of coming to London at around this time of year, it's a really good time to come, because you can enter this lottery. The tickets aren't wildly oversubscribed. And actually, if you don't get them, pro tip, you can go the weekend before to the Colonel's Review, which is overseen by Catherine. And it's kind of like a rehearsal, but it's basically the same thing, but it's not quite so exciting. Don't know why. Sorry. For some reason, I'm getting WhatsApp notifications. It's incredible. I must say, if anyone from Substack is watching, you need to do a bit of work on your video offering, guys. So that we can see here, it's quite nice, isn't it? Seeing all these people walking down. So excitement is the event is approaching its conclusion, which will be in about 20 minutes' time, when the king and his family, and these days, of course, it's only the absolute core family. So it'll be King and Queen, William, Catherine, and their kids, Edward, Sophie, Princess Anne, maybe Duke and Duchess of Gloucester. I'm not sure. I don't think they make the cut these days, but they try to keep it quite slimmed down. This is not a day for surprises, right? It's not like there's going to be a big surprise and Eugenie's going to be on the balcony. No. Today is about predictability. It's about knowing that kind of really well organized, run like clockwork. You can set your watch by us. Moments of sort of exceptional English pomp and circumstance. Those are the words that are often used. So it's a really lovely day. So more and more people now are starting to make their way down Birdcage Walk, where I'm sitting, hoping slightly that I don't get accosted by a member of the Royal Parks Police, because you're not actually allowed to film for commercial purposes in the Royal Parks. When I used to work at the Evening Standard, we used to get in terrible trouble whenever we took photographs in the Royal Parks. But I'm hoping that there's enough people here that I'll get away with it today. Anyway, it'd be great fun if I get arrested live on camera. So it's now, it also has a couple of other functions, Trooping the Colour. And one of the main functions that it has these days is a kind of really good bit of PR before the worst bit of PR of the whole year comes out, which is the presentation of families' accounts. So usually what they do, now last year or two, it's been a bit different, because I think there was some trouble reconciling everything after the death of the Queen and new systems and all of that. Usually what they do is they have this fabulous PR blitz today, right? Absolute blitz. It's their day. They get to write the rules. They get to set the stage. They get to decide the script. And then usually about Wednesday or Thursday next week, they release the royal account, when hopefully everyone's feeling warm and sympathetic towards the British royal family and thinking that they provide excellent value for money, etc., etc., etc. So then typically what will happen is that also during next week we'll have Royal Ascot, another kind of huge kind of set piece for the family, although this year I think they're slightly mismanaging it with these suggestions that Beatrice and Eugenie are going to be there. I think it could cause a few problems for them. So you have Royal Ascot. And then basically, in the old days, they all used to go on holiday for the next 3 months. That was it. As soon as school ended, that would be it. They'd be off to Balmoral, off to Sandringham. The Queen obviously would just go to Balmoral for literally 4 months. And so this is in some ways, it's kind of almost the end of the year for the royals. It's almost like the end of term. It's like the end of the summer term. So there is definitely a feeling, or not for the rest of us, but for them, I think there's always a feeling that this is a huge event, a huge slog. They've all got to put their best foot forward. It's a very long day, actually, to be fair. I mean, they start at, 10 in the morning. The actual ceremonial aspect of it starts at 10:30 in the morning and doesn't finish till 1 o'clock. So, it's a pretty full on day in terms of being on display and in terms of having to be exactly right. And of course, there's lots of stuff that happens before and afterwards in terms of diplomacy and hanging out with government ministers and all of that. And it's funny, actually, when you come to Trooping the Colour, if you've got any sense, you don't get off at St James's Park. You get off at Westminster Tube, and you walk down from Westminster Tube, and Westminster Square kind of backs on to Horse Guards Parade, and you can see all the government ministers, the Prime Minister, everybody arriving to go into the Foreign Office, which looks over Horse Guards Parade. Hi, T. How are you? Nice to see everybody here. So it's look at this. This is great. We've got a bit of a fashion parade coming now down the down Birdcage Walk, and it's just about 15 minutes to go. Good morning. It's from Ontario, Canada. That is commitment, isn't it? So it's just about 13 minutes to go now till the Flypast. So yeah, just to, as I was saying, there was this extraordinary story last night, basically saying that Andrew had sort of puppet mastered and manipulated his daughters into that appearance at the wedding the other day, and there was quite a bit of stuff coming out now about it, because I was definitely told after it first came out that Andrew was accused of assaulting a woman at the Ascot racecourse, that they were most definitely having second thoughts about going. Now, I must say, by about Thursday or Friday before the wedding, it had become pretty clear that they were going to go. But it still seems a little strange, given, especially that then on the Friday before the wedding, it came out of the National Audit Office that the amount of rent that they had paid over the past 20 years for a fabulous home each in central London, one in Kensington Palace, one in St James's Palace, was zero. Yes, a big fat zero. And that the deal, surprise, surprise, had been negotiated by Andrew, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So I was slightly surprised to see them take this very prominent role. And there was another really weird thing that happened, which was that everybody else just got dropped off outside the church. Now, it's quite fun now. People are now starting to run because they want to get to the Mall for the Flypast. I'm not going to be able to get it because there's no way that my mobile signal will hold up. So we're just going to stay here. So as I was saying, I won't be remotely offended if you need to put your television on and watch it on the TV. I'll be able to see this little patch blue sky up there. I'm going to turn the camera around and you'll be able to see them. So I've got to admit, I was a little bit surprised when on the Friday, I started to be told that, they were definitely going, et cetera, et cetera. And then, as I was saying, sorry, it's really weird not having my notes, as I'm just freelancing this in the park. And some people might call it chaotically disorganized. Others might call it authenticity. Who knows? But so on the day of the wedding, everybody else just shows up at the church. Hi, Kira from Ireland. I'm not in Ireland. I've had to moment here. And Curious Ange, good to see you. Yeah, good to have the Irish here representing. I keep trying to tell this story. I'm going to stop saying hello to people. Sorry. Thank you all so much for being here. I really am incredibly grateful for you for being here. And I'm sorry that I've neglected the Substack lives in favor of the YouTube. It's just literally the video tools on YouTube are just so much better. And I just generally, when I joined Substack, I joined it for the writing. So, and that's why I've kind of made this decision to keep writing on Substack and the video on YouTube. Anyway, back to the story I keep trying to tell. So everyone else gets dropped off outside the church. Beatrice and Eugenie and their husband get dropped off at a friend of the bride and groom's house, like in the village just down the road, so that they can have a long kind of walk up the village towards the church, so they can really be photographed. And we saw, didn't we, or that awful photograph of Eugenie being hugging me, looking at the camera, kind of checking that the cameras were photographing her. So, it was this very public statement, right, of we're back, we are part of the family, blah, blah, blah. And then this amazing story last night from Barbara Davis, who is a very, very competent, classic Daily Mail reporter, will always have the 5 bits of gossip, the, one little exclusive bit, quotes from both sides, et cetera, really, really great reporter. But the Mail, I would point out, is very, very pro-Charles. So I have this amazing story saying that Andrew had basically lobbied the girls as a kind of puppet master to make this very public entrance to the wedding, telling them, that they must continue to fight for and represent the York family name. Oh, there we go, canon there. Saying that they must continue to fight for and represent the family name, and saying they had to go to the wedding, their heads held high, etc., etc., etc. So it was all quite dramatic. Now, the same story also said, amazingly, okay, you're hearing the canon say, so not long to go now. People are going to start running down here in a minute, which is one of the things I always love. Also in this story, it said that this very, pro-Charles line, saying that none of it was his fault, that it was just all a mess that he'd inherited from his grandmother, that, they just hadn't got round to cancelling the direct debit to pay Beatrice and Eugenie's rent, which seemed like a massive stretch to me 3.5 years after the Queen died, to say that you hadn't, managed to cancel the direct debit. But it's interesting, I think, that this is obviously the line that the King's Office are pushing, right? They're just saying, look, he had to honour the commitments made by his mother, and that's why he is continued this ridiculous support for these 2 women who do nothing for the royal family, whose parents have dragged the royal family into great disgrace, who seem to have very murky networks themselves with the sort of Saudi finances and all of that. Also said, dropped in this line that Charles' office had actually written to Beatrice and Eugenie last year to tell them that they needed to move out. Well, and then again this year. Well, I suspect by last year, what they actually mean is after it was revealed that Andrew had been paying nothing at Royal Lodge for 20 years, and the Public Accounts Committee announced they were going to launch an investigation. I'm sure at that point, somebody with half a brain cell in Charles's office thought, do you know what? Better write them a letter telling them that they might want to think about moving out. But, they weren't even letters saying you have to move out. It's just like, maybe you'd like to think about finding somewhere else to live. Unsurprisingly, given the fact that they're paying absolutely no rent for 20 years, they didn't seem overly keen on taking them up on the option. But yeah, so Charles, trying to give himself a bit of an alibi, building a bit of deniability into this whole debacle of Beatrice and Eugenie. So to cut a very long story short, that's why I'm saying that. Thank you, Curious Ange. Yeah, it's just window dressing. Exactly. You're summarising it much better than I could, rabbiting away here. Yeah, it's just window dressing. It's just like to try and give some plausible deniability when it all goes down. So the guns are telling us that the King and Queen are shortly coming out onto the Buckingham Palace balcony. Maybe any of you who are watching live could keep us updated in the chat about what is happening on that balcony. Are we seeing them yet? I can't see them. I don't have my Sky News feed like you guys at home. Let us know, because we're only now about 5 minutes away from the Flypast, which is the RAF Flypast. Thanks, and got the balcony on Sky, but nobody out there yet. Okay, great. Well, this is marvelous. Look, I've got a team of Substack producers here to help me. I want to know. Okay, here's what I want to know. People in comments: does Louis pull a funny face? Does George look like a really cross football manager? Does Catherine look absolutely radiant? Well, we already know the answer to that because we've already seen her. And I have to say, she looked amazing, didn't she? In that beautiful blue dress. Mm. Charles, I thought, looked great. I think for a man with cancer, even for a man without cancer, he looks amazing. He looked really bad this time last year, and it's just great, and I've actually done a lot of reporting on how successful his cancer treatment has been. And I think he's really, really changed the narrative on it, hasn't he? It's been incredible, really, because I think that not that long ago, you think, oh, grandpa's got cancer, or oh, that'd be the end of it, But now I think people will be able to point to Charles and say, yeah, maybe grandpa has got cancer, but maybe grandpa can carry on living 10, 20 years. Yeah, that's a good point, Pierre. We do know the answers to all the questions because it is exactly the same every year, isn't it? It is exactly the same every year. You could actually just play, the BBC could actually just get the tape from another year when it was nice and sunny, play that, and it'd be exactly the same. And that's kind of the whole point of it, right? That's kind of the whole point. It's predictability, it's tradition. It's tradition without a twist. There is no twist. There's no twist involved. It's a classic without a twist, Trooping the Colour. Guns are going off. I don't know if you can hear them on the on the background of my little AirPod that I'm speaking to you on. So I imagine they're coming out on the balcony now because it's 2 minutes to. So I'd say they're stepping out. Are they coming out? Are they coming out, folks? Come on now. Don't keep me in suspense. You know more than I do at this stage. I'm afraid this is... Oh, I hear some airplanes. No, they're not out yet. This is always the problem with live broadcast and journalism, is that frankly, you can see a hell of a lot more on the television that you stand by turning up in person. But there we are. Right. 2 minutes to go. Very shortly, they're going to be coming out on the balcony. The flypast will occur, and cheers will echo and resound down the mall, bouncing off the walls of the IPA, crossing the verdant splendour of St James's Park, the great, beautiful green lungs of London, Green Park, James Park, and of course, further up, not really Park today, Kensington Park and Hyde Park. And yeah, that is definitely my top tip. If you are ever coming to London, come this weekend, or I can start here a few days. If you're ever coming to London, come this weekend. It's all good weather. This event is completely free. I mean, you can buy a ticket if you want. I think that's £40, some kind of VIP ticket. The doors are open, and here they are. Fantastic. And I'm hearing some noises. Right, I can turn my camera around. Oh, sorry, awful. That's that little patch of blue sky, but you will see them fly by there. So it really is, for me, it's the best, one of the best free weekends in London. Duke of Kent, fabulous. That's lovely. That is lovely. What about Duke and Duchess of Gloucester? I mean, Here they come. I can hear the plane. Right. Here we go. See if we can get a better view. All right, we're going to go and get a slightly better view. Yeah, I think that there you'll be able to see them, I suspect. Let's see. So, no, I just don't want to go too near. Because, there we go. You see them? I mean, you've all seen a plane in the sky before, I'm sure. George is really tall as Camilla. It's amazing. Clusters are there. Excellent, excellent. Running a minute late. What's going on? A bit unusual. It's a little bit unusual. I know, it's quite funny. What's this guy doing? He's got some kind of fancy best. Here we go. Very good cameraman. I'm sorry. I'm a terrible cameraman. But that's why I'm a journalist, not a cameraman. This is very irregular. 2 minutes late. Earth is going on. Absolute disgrace. Green like this. Very unsuspecting. Lastly, puzzle might have to be puzzle. Right. Okay. Okay. Here we go. Right. That's only big old bombers. Not what we're looking for. Not what we're looking for. Looking for the red arrows. 3 minutes. Hey, Earth is going on. I'm afraid this is the collapse of discipline under the reign of King Charles. Absolute disgrace. Shocking. Shocking. Really, isn't it? 3 minutes late. My God. No. Any action. Oh, here we go. Here we go. Oh, yes. It's almost strange. We're not the passengers yet being escorted by the red arrows. That's my poor. I was having mud in the side. Let's see. Two typhoons and a big refueling tank. Thank you, Cursa. Cursa is acting as my producer, basically. So, but again, okay, so actually, I think the point about those typhoons and the refueling tanks is sort of making this point that it's not just there goes another military aircraft on the time, but it's not like a potential jet to me, I'm afraid to say. It's making the point of this legitimacy of the royal family being founded in military institutions, and it's this branding strategy, I suppose you might call it, of positioning the royal family within their history as part of the military institution, which gives them their legitimacy and their credibility. So that more. I guess in the old days, there would be a bit more devil may care about not having them spaced out. So they probably came over in a more, I think, so they probably came over in a more constant stream of aeroplane, shall we say. So we're still waiting for red arrows to appear. It is a beautiful day here in the park. Absolutely thrilled to be with you. Thank you so much to everybody who joined me. 200 and plus of you who are here watching. Really up to there we go. Oh, there we go. There we go. Come on now, fire the controls, lad. And controls, lad. So that we need the arrows. We can tell that they're the red arrows because they're red. That's what we're waiting for. They should come in over shortly. I'd say they're well in there. Now, they just a few minutes, and they'll be at least by losing such of the family. Red, white, blue, girls, the clouds. Here we go. It's very cool. Very cool. Very cool indeed. I have to say, warms the cockles of my heart. Definitely. As I say, we've got much review on television, but really enjoy it. Have fun. And you know what? It's because the everybody is now piling back this way, and I'd say the mobile network is getting totally overcrowded. So maybe I will go and go ahead, and when we still have good sound and I still have an connection. Thanks so much to everybody for joining, and do a few more Substack lives in the future. It's a lot of fun. I enjoy chatting to you and interacting with you all. Library now, another place. If you're ever visiting London, I thoroughly recommend that you go to the British Library. It's free to get into, which is one of the things that I particularly like, as you may be able to tell. Like the royal family, I'm a massive cheapskate. Don't like paying for anything. But so I love free things. And I am there writing my book, which I have to. Actually, this is quite fun. I'm just going to get this guy. Hang on. Look. Excellent. There he goes. Just going about his business. Fabulous. Hello. Great job.
Thank you.
Very funny. I think they think I'm a member of the military due to my red jacket. But yeah, this is part of the fun of today. It's a lovely day. It's a sort of great moment, and I think it's England at its best, really, isn't it? It's a bit of sunshine, beautiful trees, lads in bearskins walking around saying hello. So great fun. And what a brilliant day. So I'm now just walking up Birdcage Walk, walking back to Westminster Tube, trying to get ahead of the crowds. But who knows? And as I say, off to the British Library, where I'll be spending the rest of this lovely sunny day, locked inside, hard at work on my computer and on my screen. I'm sorry to hear that Charles looks like he's struggling. I thought he looked absolutely marvellous earlier. I'm sorry to hear that. I haven't seen that. I'll have to have a look at the video and the footage later. No, I know. So isn't this fun? It's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun. What I really need to do is figure out how to get a microphone hooked up to my phone so that, I could have just interviewed that fella with his bare skin, couldn't I? Would have been much more fun. Yeah, so look, it's a good day for the royal family. It's the day when They get to write the script. They get to set the stage. They get to organise the scenes. They get to basically deploy several regiments of the British Army to burnish their brand image. But I think that it's genuinely a moment that I think a lot of, not all, but a lot of British people, I think, enjoy. And what's the point in having a royal family if we're not going to show them off occasionally? So thanks very much. As you can see, I'm just heading up through all these beautiful ceremonial streets now, leaving St James's Park and off to have a jolly. Actually, one thing I could do before I go, I could just show you Horse Guards Parade, which is just around here. So it's actually really lovely. If you want, if you need to go, I won't be offended. Right, I'm going to put my little tripod away. So this, if you are ever coming to London, is the place to watch to be based for the day of Truth in Colour. You see loads of people just hanging out, eating their ice creams, having a lovely day. And this is St James's Lake. And then up here, just around the corner, you've got a little place called Duck Island. That might even be Duck Island there. Little bridge going onto it. And then up here, you see, this is why it's such a good place to come and why it's so good to come to Westminster Tube rather than sort of dealing with everything at Green Park. Because right here, you've got the kind of edge of Horse Guards Parade, and then the Mall is literally on the other side of St James's Park over there. Right. Okay, everybody. That's it. I think that I've seen what my immediate future holds. And I think that basically says it all. Thank you all. Farewell, and God save the King.